Hi everyone, welcome to episode 95 of the Arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. Today it is Saturday, November 23rd, and I finished a few things. I finished a few projects this week, and I also cast on a couple projects this week, so I have a lot of fun updates to share with you all, and yeah, I just can't wait to get started. So let's get started. I am wearing today my Lauder vest by Clow. She is the Creabea on Instagram, and the yarn I used for this is So Happy Jane Confetti worsted, and I knit size 1. I used US 3 needles or 3.25 millimeter needles to knit this. I do believe that is the recommended needle size. Now, final measurements for this, I got 28 inches in circumference. That gives me 2 inches of negative ease. And my gauge on this was way off from the pattern. I did not gauge swatch, so I do need to put that out there. I didn't gauge swatch, and so this is what happens sometimes. But what is weird is when I started this knit, usually when I don't gauge swatch, I will still start the knit and then I'll measure it, whatever I've knit, because if I'm really off sometimes, I will just rip back all the way to the beginning and restart. But when I started this and I looked at my gauge, it seemed fine. It seemed totally fine. A couple things is that the yarn that I use is a worsted weight yarn. However, the pattern recommends a DK weight yarn. So I thought, if anything, my gauge would be bigger because I am using a larger weight yarn. I didn't change my needle size though because I was worried about it being a little too big. I was fine not sizing up my needles to just fit the yarn weight, and so I thought that I would be good, and I am somehow the pattern says, I just checked it before I filmed, the pattern says it should be 34 inches for size 1. That should have given me 4 inches of positive ease, so that means that my final vest here is 6 inches smaller in circumference than it's supposed to be. So I was really off. However, this still fits fine. It is obviously a more fitted vest, and especially if I'm wearing a shirt under it, as I am today, and how I most likely will always wear this top, that will kind of make it even more fitted, because when you wear, something under clothes, it kind of makes it more fitted. So, yeah, if I were to make this again, which it could happen, I could make maybe the V-neck, long sleeve, sweater version. I could make the crew neck sweater, crew neck vest of this. I would probably size up or just make sure I really gauge swatch and just kind of keep an eye on that. So that's all to say, I will still wear this because if you know me and you've kind of seen me talk about some of my other knits, if things don't fit quite right, I will still wear them and I will still love them. That's just how it is for me, and that's how I like to wear my knits. So I will probably wear this. This is probably not the most comfortable in terms of I don't like really fitted tops just in general, not even just in knitwear, just in general. I don't like things feeling even just a little bit tight on me. So this, if I'm wanting to go for something comfy, I do not know if I would wear this, if that makes sense. But if I'm I just want to wear this vest, I will probably wear the vest. So yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this in the beginning, but this is a finished object from a few weeks ago, and I took really cute pictures with my friend Megan with both of our Lauder vests because we cast this on the same night. This was a planned knit with a friend knit, and we took cute pictures on a knit weekend away a couple weekends ago, and it was really fun and really cute. So I love Megan's version. She has a darker gray version, and obviously this one is a more cream version. Let me stand up a little bit closer so you can see this yarn a little more properly. So it's a cream base, but you can see it's called Confetti worsted because there are little bits of tweed in here. And I think you can mostly see the red tweed bits, but there's also some green. Maybe there's this one green piece here, and there's also some yellow, I believe. I'm trying to look for like a yellow piece. Oh, maybe like right here. So it's really cute, like colorful tweed colors in this yarn, and it is a Shanico wool base, and so it feels amazing. I would highly recommend, if you have the chance to knit something or even to spin with Shanico wool, do it, because it's just so good. I want all my sweaters to be Shanico at this point, so yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I will stand up again. You can kind of see like fit here. I am wearing this with a long sleeve shirt under it, and you can see it is fitted. And one maybe downside is like, because my gauge was a little off, I think probably my armhole isn't as deep as it should be either, and so it is kind of like, I can feel the fabric when I put my arms down, just kind of bunching under there. But one thing to note, I do believe that size 1 might be the only size in this pattern that didn't have armhole shaping for like the underarm. So it really is just like a straight line here. And I don't even think, oh, here. There was no like additional increases done before kind of like doing, I think there were armhole or underarm like cast on stitches, but there was no kind of like shaping. So yeah, it was just an interest, like for me that was good because I didn't have to like think about how to do armhole increases plus the v-neck increases at the same time. Sometimes instructions for doing things at the same time get really kind of confusing, so I was glad I didn't have to do that. But yeah, although I do think that this would have fit a lot nicer if I had the right amount of ease, or, you know, knit with the right gauge. So I still think this came out really cute. I love the cable pattern. Like I love like that braided cable all the way around, and how it's alternating with like a shorter or skinnier cable that just twists in one direction. I love the detail where it carries up onto the side where that v-neck is. And then I'm going to turn around, but I don't know if you'll see it, but there is like where the pickup is done to do the front, there is a cable as well. It's like right here, right across here. And it kind of goes around like the armhole. And I think that's really cute. So yeah, I do think this is very cute. This is a very cute vest, very cute pattern. And yeah, maybe someday in the future I would make like the full-on sweater of this as well. So yeah, so that is what I'm wearing today. I'm still trying to catch up on wearing my recently finished objects on the podcast. So I am slowly going through that, and hopefully I don't miss any of the things to wear. So yeah, and I'm just like adding on to this queue of finished object things I want to wear on the podcast, because I have, let me count, I have 3. I have 3 finished objects this week. I will start off with the first one that I finished, and the only one that is blocked, because it just finished drying kind of like yesterday/today. Okay. Speaking of vest, I have knit another vest, and it is now finished. Ooh, it is so cute, and it's so happy. This is a test knit for Tori Yu. This is the Avenue Vest by Tori Yu. And the yarn I use for this, I use a combination. So I use J'adore Fibers Naturally Soft Sock in the colorway Grapefruit. And that's a fingering weight, so I held that double to make about a DK weight. Plus Explore Knits Suri Alpaca Lace in the colorway Grapefruit. So yes, both of the yarn colors I use are called Grapefruit. And they matched up really nicely. So I held fingering double plus a Suri, because this vest calls for a worsted weight yarn, and in one of the samples that Tori did, she did use a DK weight plus a Suri, and so I thought I would get close to that using a fingering held double plus Suri. I knit size 1, and I did the v-neck version, as you can see, and I used US 8 needles or 5mm needles to knit this, and gosh, I love it so much. And this is, I have not tried it on yet after blocking. Oh my gosh, it'd be so cute with my long sleeve right now. it's so cute. Okay, so yes, I have not tried it on yet, but it is draping really nicely. It blocked out super nice. And so, yeah, because the ribbing around the v-neck and the armholes were kind of curling in a little bit, or they weren't laying flat. And so I knew that blocking would help it, but it is just kind of like nice to finally see that everything is laying really nice and flat, and you can see the shape here. I followed everything to pattern, so I picked up the number of stitches it says to pick up around the v-neck and the armholes. I knit the body from the underarm to the hem to the recommended length in the pattern, and so this really should all be, to pattern. I think my gauge on this one, opposite of my Lauder vest, my gauge was a little big. I have not taken measurements yet since it is done blocking now, and these should be final measurements, but before blocking I was a tad wide. I think I might have been like maybe 1 inch or possibly 2 inches. Actually, I think it's 2 inches circumference bigger potentially, which is, it's kind of a lot, but my fabric on this is very dense, and so I think that if you are going to do like a DK plus Suri, I think an actual DK weight yarn plus Suri will work, but if you're going to do fingering held double, sometimes, especially if you're using like maybe a more plump fingering, holding it double is actually like a little bit bigger than a DK. So my fabric, I was really trying to get gauge by just like knitting tighter. Also, don't do this. You should just size down your needles. I just didn't have the needle size down to do this, so I just knit tighter. And so my tension was tighter, and my knitting hopefully was small. It definitely was smaller because I did actually rip out the beginning. I did actually do this for this knit. I knit a bunch of the back, and then I measured, and I was like, I'm way off. And so I undid it all, recast on, and I just knit tighter, and I was much closer to gauge. So yeah. I think that this is going to fit really nicely though. I did try it on before blocking, and I loved the fit. The v-neck is a lot deeper than the v-neck I am wearing right now, but like I will always be wearing a shirt under this, and so that will be fine. And I was a little worried about the armholes. The armholes are kind of big on this, but not as big as my best vest. If you remember that, it was a purple color. I love the color of that vest, but those armholes are just so huge on those. And so I feel like that this is like has much better proportions for a v-neck vest, and I really like the shaping and just like how this looks, the depth of the v-neck, the armhole. There is armhole shaping on this too, which is really nice, and all of that. So I will, as far as fit goes for this, I will talk more about the fit when I do eventually wear it on a podcast episode, which will be sometime in the future, because again, I'm still trying to like get through the other finished objects to wear and talk about on the podcast. But also because this is a test knit, I might be posting this a lot sooner on my Instagram or whatever, when the pattern does eventually come out. So we'll see how long that takes. But I love this, and this color is, I think, like one of my favorite colors as far as like a pink goes. Like it is just, it's so happy, and I just like it. I have a lot of other grapefruit, like Explore Knits grapefruit knits in different yarn bases as well, and so this will be a nice addition to my grapefruit knitted things. So yeah, that's really exciting, and I'm also really glad to have this test knit done before the deadline. I think it's sometime in December. So I will be, now that it is done blocking and stuff, I can kind of like give my final notes on this. So yeah, that's really exciting. Before I put this away, I do also want to show you there is shaping in the back here, and you can see, actually I'll show it on this side, there is this kind of like stitch detailing when there's increases done on the back, and then you pick up in the front from right there. So you have that nice kind of line going across and down on the shoulders. So yeah, I just want to show you that. And now that's finished object number 1 for the week. Okay, let's talk about the next one. Oh my gosh, it is actually another Tori Yu pattern, which is really fun. This one, I think, predicted. I wanted to finish this week. The only thing is I didn't block it yet, but I am still calling it finished because I finished knitting it and I finished weaving in the ends. I just need to block it. So unfortunately, you will not see how it looks blocked, so it's still going to look a little squished. This is the City top by Tori Yu. I'm trying my best here to like make it flat and not curl on itself. Here it is. It looks kind of tiny. This I knit with Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry Merino in the colorway Flower Farm. It is a gorgeous color. I love it so much. And I only used one skein for this. I still have like a bit left actually after, but I did lengthen the body on this more than the pattern stated to. Oh, I knit size 1. Is that right? Yes, I knit size 1 and I used US 4 needles or 3.5 millimeter needles to knit this, and I do believe that that is a recommended needle size. I knit the body longer. I think that that is the only modification I made for this. Part of the reason was because I had more yarn left, and also because it was kind of too cropped for my liking, and so I did just make the body longer. And the yarn color is kind of dark, but I hope you can see I'm just pulling it onto the side. So on both sides it has this twisted rib detail, which I think is really nice and very cute. And again, it's on both sides. And so when I eventually do block it, you will kind of see it. Can you kind of see it when I hold it up? Like, it will lay flat and you'll be able to see it on the sides, from the front and also the back. It is twisted rib for like the neck here and also the hem at the bottom. And what else? I mean, I love it. I think it's cute. I tried it on and it fits. Really nice, just like a nice, clean looking top. And I'm excited. I just really want to block it because, it's just blocking is magic for your knits, and it just makes everything look a lot more clean and polished and like how it will be in the end, like actually finished objects. So yeah, I'm just really excited for that. One thing I do want to mention, this is worked top down, and okay, yes, a couple things. I was really happy that when I was done knitting this, right, I reached the end, I knit the hem, and I bound off. I was like, okay, do I have to like pick up around the armholes? Do I have to do a pickup around the neckline to do any kind of like finishing details? And no, there are no finishing details for the neckline and the armholes. And I was like, wow, so this top really is, you cast it on and you just like go and then you finish. And so that's really nice. And I mean, it does look, I was kind of worried because I think it is like a 1-stitch garter stitch around the armholes. It's going to be very hard to see it here. And so I thought that maybe would make it look kind of strange, but I think it just helps it lay a little flat. And yeah, it looks fine, like as is. One thing that was interesting as far as construction goes is that, so you knit the straps first separately, and then you join them by casting on a whole bunch of stitches for the front or back neck. And I think in a lot of patterns, you will, after you're done with a strap, you will, have those strap needles still on, like your second strap needles still on, or stitches still on your needle. And then you would either backwards loop cast on or cable cast on all of your neck stitches and then knit across your other strap. For this one, you didn't do that. You actually used a long tail cast on. So you cut your yarn and you do a long tail cast on and then join all of those 3 sections together. And at first I was like, wow, how annoying, because that's just like more ends to weave in. And I was kind of annoyed. I was like, I don't like this at all. But I think that probably what was the case is that for the neck, it makes a much cleaner looking edge if you're not going to go back to pick up and do something else. And also keeps it pretty stretchy, so you don't have to worry about, I just feel like backwards loop cast on is not very stretchy, or sometimes it like droops a little bit. Even for the cable cast on, sometimes it's kind of weird. So I do appreciate it for that, because it does have a really nice clean edge. But just warning that there will just be more ends to weave in. And because they're straps, they're kind of all the ends to weave in are all at the top. And then once you join and everything's good, you're just like done. And it's nice and smooth after that. So I just thought that was an interesting detail of making this top. But I very, very much enjoyed knitting this. I knit it up pretty quickly, maybe in like a couple weeks. Just because I knit a lot of it actually during knit weekend, which was a couple weekends ago. And I need to block it. I have been very slow on blocking my knits, and so I just have a backlog. I have a backlog of wearing my finished objects on the podcast, and I have a backlog of washing and blocking all of my knits. And I really have to get going on that, because some things will also just take a lot of time to dry as well. But anyway, this is a top. Possibly the next time you see it will be me wearing it, or if I remember and I block it, I can bring it again on the podcast to show you the difference on how it looks blocked, because this looks kind of crazy. But yeah, so that is my other finished object. Those two were like really close to being done anyway, and so I just wanted those to get off of my needles. Okay, last finished object for this week. It's a really cute one. I'm really excited about this. I also did not block this yet, and so it is going to look a little different once it is blocked. But I can show it to you. I can hold it up. It's so cute. I love how it looks and how it's like draping and just the overall look on this. Okay, this is the Aviva wrap top by Jaime Creates, and the yarn I use for this is Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry Suri in the colorway Flower Crown, and I held the Suri double. So all of this is Suri held double. And I knit size extra small, and I use US 7 needles or 4.5 millimeter needles to knit this. I believe that is the recommended needle size for this pattern. This is the first time that I have knit a pattern from Jaime Creates, and I've been eyeing this very specific pattern for a while. I think even ever since it came out. I might have even seen the tester call, and I was like, yes, I want to make that. And I am now just like so happy that it is done and I have the finished object. I'm just excited to see how it blocks and how it wears after that. But overall, this is a long sleeve wrap top, although the pattern also has instructions for short sleeves, and they're like puffy sleeves. The overall look of this this top is like pretty flowy and poofy, and although when I put it on, the poof kind of goes away a little bit because when you stretch it out a little bit wider, you can see it the poof kind of goes away a little bit, but it fits, so it's all good there. It is very cropped. I did not make any changes to this pattern. I wanted to knit it just as the pattern states. Again, because this is the first time I've knit a pattern from this designer, and sometimes I just like to know kind of what their like baseline for certain things is, and I just want to yeah, I just want to know that I'm following their pattern. At least in the beginning, because I do see myself making this again, because, oh gosh, it's so cute, and I have a lot of Suri sweater quantities that I think would be really cute with this. Okay, let me get back to this. It is a wrap top. It is worked top down. However, it is not a wrap top where you actually, when you put it on, have to wrap it and then, like, do a tie. It is just, like, it's actually joined. Like, there's no, it's all connected. It's connected. How do I show that it's connected? Oh gosh, okay. You can see where it overlaps here at the bottom, right here. So once you're done knitting, it's knit flat, you just, like, join, like, a whole section here together, and you knit them together so that it joins, it's knitted together all over here. And so it won't ever kind of, like, fall apart. There is no tying involved in this top, and so everything is just set, which I think in a lot of cases is really nice. You don't have to worry about things falling off in terms of, like, the wrap, you know? So that's super nice. And it has just, like, a ribbed edging for the hem and also for the sleeves. The sleeves look pretty balloon-ish, and they kind of are, but there are decreases. You can kind of see it here at the bottom. There are decreases to the wrist, but there is rapid decreases right before you start the ribbing so that it's, like, really fitted at the wrist. And I'm really happy with that, because then it's not just, like, this huge thing, but it's has the poof, but still kind of shaped. Yeah, I love how this looks in this colorway too. I love all of the different pink, green, gray, and some, like, orange-ish speckles that are showing up in this yarn. It's very, very cute. And yeah, oh, I forgot to mention that this top and the city top here are both, I've been using a lot of Woolberry lately, which I have a lot of Woolberry, but also because these are now 2 finished objects, reaching towards my goal of using my Woolberry rewind yarn from last year. And so I'm, like, actually making a lot of progress. I was worried that I was not going to, I would be okay if I didn't reach this goal, but I really wanted to. And so just the fact that I'm having finished objects with that yarn makes me very happy that I'm reaching that goal. And also just to have the finished objects. Again, this is also a top, like, pattern that I've been wanting to make for a while. And so now that it's finally, like, I was knitting it, and now it's off my needles, and I just need to wash and block it. I'm just so excited. It's been a long time coming, so I'm happy to have it. Yeah, I just can't wait to block it. Like, I will have a lot more things to say about it, probably more positive. Yeah, I would just have a lot of good things to say about it. Even more good things to say about it once it's blocked. But feels like a cloud. It's so comfy. I can't wait. I just can't wait to wear it, and I can't wait to share it with you all again when it's done and when I'm wearing it. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so that is all my finished objects. I had 3 finished objects this week, which is really fun. Okay, so moving on to my whips this week. Let me talk quickly through some of them. So for my Culmination blanket, this is, again, a pattern by Lindsey Fowler. It is a blanket where you knit squares and then you combine all of the squares at the end to make a full blanket. And there is a knit along happening until the end of the year for this blanket. And yeah, I am making progress. I've been making pretty much weekly progress on this blanket, and I've been trying to be ahead of schedule on this, because when the knit along started, they said if you knit 2 squares a week, then you'll finish by the end of December, and I want to finish this blanket before that, like before Christmas, before probably in a couple weeks. Honestly, I would love to finish this blanket. So, but with that said, so I've been ahead of schedule. I'm still ahead of schedule. I've knit more than 2 squares a week for the most part. I've never knit less than 2 squares a week until this week. which maybe makes sense because I have a lot of finished objects this week, so my attention was just elsewhere. But I did do one square this week, and I love this square. This makes me very happy. I love the colors in this. It is mostly blue, but if you can see the variegation in it, it comes from a Paisley Knits colorway that was part of the the spring when I got that seasons set where it had 4 colors for each of the seasons. This was one of the colors in the spring season, which was like the blue and purpley and some green in there. Like, oh, it just reminds me of like water lilies or something, you know? Like, I love like the painting. Like, I love those colors, and so I paired that with I think like a blue, a different blue DK weight yarn, and then a gray Suri. And it came out really nice. Like, I really do love how this turned out, this square. So yeah, I only did one square, but again, I have been knitting a bunch of squares every week, and so I am not behind. I actually only need 3 more squares. I need 3 more squares to make 30, which is what the pattern has it as. But the only thing is, I would love to wash and block all of the squares before I put them together. And I've only washed and blocked 6, 7. So I have a long ways to go. See, this is what I mean by I have a lot of things to wash and block. And drying time is very precious right now, so I need to get started on that. But yeah, so I just have 1 square for this week. I'm feeling pretty good, so I'm hoping I can actually just finish knitting the 3 rest of the squares this coming week, but we will see. Okay, next up, I have my Boucle knits. I've been knitting on that a lot this week as well. I forgot that Boucle really does knit up quite quickly. To me, Boucle knits up fast. Sorry, I am just trying to untangle myself right now, and if I can't untangle myself, I don't know. Okay, I don't know if I can untangle myself from this yarn, so I'm just going to hold it up however I can. Okay, this is my Northwoods V-neck by Jessie Maed Designs, and this is a friend knit. Me and my friends are doing a Boucle knit again. Sometime was it last year or was it earlier this year? We did a Boucle knit. That's when I knit the superlative sweater, and anyway, so we're doing another Boucle knit because we had more Boucle yarn. This time we chose the Northwoods V-neck. Actually, last time I think only me and Megan made the superlative. Yeah. Wow, my memory is failing me right now. But anyway, the last time we did a friend Boucle knit was when I made the superlative. This time it is the Northwoods V-neck, and oh, look how cute. Oh, it looks so cute. It looks so cute on the camera. I finished 1 skein of the Boucle. This is a top-down sweater. So I finished this entire top part. And I knit about this much under the arm. And that was 1 full skein of Boucle. Now the thing that kind of scares me is I only have 3 skeins of this colorway, because I originally wasn't planning on making this pattern with this yarn. So I'm hoping that I will be okay, that I can finish this sweater. If anything, it might just be a cropped sweater, but I'm hoping not this cropped. This is very cropped. I would like more on the body, but because I'm worried about my yardage on this, I started the sleeve, one of the sleeves now with my 2nd skein, so that I can see how much yarn 1 sleeve takes. Then I can figure out how much the 2nd sleeve will take, and then I will see how much I will have left for the body and also the V-neck ribbing, because I would love for the V-neck ribbing to be in Boucle. I do have some DK weight yarn in the same colorway that I could use for the V-neck if needed, but I really, really, really want it to be in Boucle. I want the whole sweater in Boucle. So yeah, I just worked on some of the body, and I knit a significant amount of sleeve. I think I am done now with the decreases on my sleeve. And I just need to measure how long the sleeve is and how long I want the actual sleeve to be. I feel like it might actually be close. Oh my gosh. The yarn that this is attached to is just, okay. It's like kind of close. I know that this isn't like the best way to try on the sleeve. Like, I should actually try this sweater on me. But look, it looks pretty close to being done. So that's exciting because this is how much yarn I have left of that second skein. And so maybe I could get 2 sleeves out of 1 skein. And then hopefully I'll have 1 full skein left to do the rest of the body and the v-neck. So that is the hope for this. I think I forgot to mention, I am knitting size extra small on this. It's supposed to, I think, have quite a bit of positive ease, and so I am hoping that that is the case for this. And it should be. How I measured it now, it should be. However, I did have to size down significantly on my needles for this, because with Boucle, I think my gauge is just super loose when I knit with Boucle yarn. Oh my gosh, I am just trying to untangle myself here. So I am knitting this with a US 4 needle, which is 3.5 millimeter needles. I think the pattern actually calls for is it a 6 or is it a 7? Like, I had to size down more than 1 size for this, but I am knitting with the same size needles as I did with my superlative. So that is how I kind of knew that this needle size would work for the gauge. And then a couple things that, just in case you've never knit with Boucle before, or you're looking at knitting with Boucle for the first time, it is almost impossible to count your rows with this. And so if there's, on sleeves, if you have to do decreases, this is a tool I never thought I would use. I didn't know in what case I would need to use like this. It's a row counter, but like a beginning of round marker. But it's long like this because there's numbers that you can, hook your needle on so that you know what round number you're on. It's genius and been so helpful for my Boucle knits. I will say I only use it for my Boucle knits, but it's been so helpful for that. So I really do enjoy it. And yeah, it's been fun to use. One thing though, and one tip is, I think it's almost impossible to count your rows on the stockinette side of Boucle knits, but you could count your rows on the purl side if you look closely and if you stretch your fabric a tad so that you can count and you can see the purl bumps. So that is my trick, is to count. If you have to count rows, count on the purl side. I've actually found that to be quite successful and pretty accurate for me. So that is my tip for Boucle. If you have to count your rows, count the purl side and the purl bumps. It's just much easier to see, in my opinion. And then the yarn for this is Explorer Knits Boucle DK in the colorway Churros Con Chocolate. I love this color. I love a good pink brown. I do think that this is it kind of just looks brown. No, it has a hint of I don't know if pink is the right word, but it is kind of like a mauvey brown, and I love it. It's going to look so cute in this v-neck, and I'm hoping that this will be just like a cozy Boucle sweater, oversized, or not too oversized, or just with lots of positive ease. I want a comfy, flowy, cozy Boucle sweater. So this has been really fun to work on. I will probably continue to work on that this coming week as well. Okay, next up I did work a little bit on this week. I worked on my Traveler hoodie it's a pattern by Andrea Mowry. I didn't realize how many Traveler series patterns that I've actually knit. I think that this is the fourth one. I have knit the Traveler shell. That was like a short sleeve cardigan. That was the first Traveler thing I made. Then I made the Traveler hat, the beanie. So that I think was number 2. I just finished the Traveler shawl, and now I'm knitting the Traveler hoodie. And so that's 4. That's pretty crazy. But I love it, and so, I'm very happy with it. So, okay, let me show you my progress. Okay, this is a bottom-up knit. So, and it's kind of squished on my needles, but here's what I have so far. This is my stitch marker from where I was last time, and so I have knit more of the body. You can see here, the body's worked in around, and then I've actually split for front and back now, but just barely. So you can see I've only worked, maybe that might have just been one stitch pattern repeat here after splitting for, I think that this is the front right now. But making good progress. This stitch pattern grows lengthwise quite a bit. And you can kind of see it because it does have those ridges, and it's kind of like ribbing, so it really will block. It can block quite long, so that is why it looks pretty short, and so I am hoping that it will block a bit longer. And yeah, I'm just excited to have split for front and back. So now I am working flat. Before it was in the round, and now I am working flat, and I just need to keep going on that. The yarn I'm using for this is Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry Sport in the colorway Corgi Caboose, and I really love how this colorway is working up. Oh, and I also joined my second ball of yarn for this, so I've already gone through one ball of yarn. I love how this is working up. I am really happy with how kind of those colors, those speckled colors, there's a really light brown and then some darker, I don't know if that's black or just a really, really, dark brown. But I love how it is, how they're all kind of they're not really pooling too much. I don't see. So, sorry, I'm just making sure the stitches didn't fall off my needles, but I love how I just love how they're looking in the stitch pattern, and how it's not too overwhelming in terms of just the color, and I love that it is pretty much a neutral, even though there's speckles in it. They're all neutral colors, and so I do like that I will have this really nice neutral but still interesting looking hoodie with the stitch pattern. And I'm really been enjoying working on this. I am not bored of working on this with this stitch pattern. I mean, it is just alternating rows of knit and purl, but just in different intervals. So, sometimes I feel the purling is a little much, but I struggled with this more in the first thing I made, the Traveler shell. I was like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever and this is crazy. It's too much purling. But maybe because I just did that and I got over it, I got used to it, that everything else felt better. So yeah, I mean, no complaints here on that. Okay, so that is the update on my Traveler hoodie. Did I say the size? I'm knitting size 1, and I'm using US 5 needles, or 3.75 millimeter needles to knit that. I do believe that is a recommended needle size. Okay, next up, I have 2 new cast-ons this week, and they're very exciting to me because I have cast on now with all of my Woolberry Rewind yarn. Even if I don't finish these projects by the end of the year, although I think I think it's possible, as long as I keep knitting on them and don't get distracted. I could finish it all this year, but even if I don't, at least all of the Rewind yarn is cast on in a project, which is so exciting to me. Okay, this first project that I cast on, it just was I saw the pattern and I was like, oh, this would be perfect. with this yarn. Okay, I'm gonna walk you through my thought process, or like how it happened. So I was scrolling on Instagram as always to look for pattern inspiration, and I saw that Sorella posted a picture. I think she has like kits for these like patterns, and so she had like samples made with the yarn that you could buy with the kits on her website for this pattern. And I saw a knitted shawl, and I was like, what is that pattern? It is so cute. It used multiple colors, but it kind of looked like it was some color blocked, but then like there was like a main color and like maybe a contrast color. And I was like, it is so cute. Also, how the heck do you do this stitch? I was like, what is that stitch? It's so cute. And then I looked up the pattern, and it was in 2 of Wands pattern, Alexi Tavel, and it is called the Reverb wrap. And it is free on her website, but if you don't want ads, you could also buy the pattern, like the PDF. Otherwise, the way I'm doing it is I'm just reading the pattern on her website, and you just have to scroll through the pages. But let me hold up what I have right now so that you can just kind of like see what I'm talking about. And let me also hold it up closer so you can see that stitch detail. Okay, so this might be kind of hard to see, and maybe, anyway, I have thoughts and I have plans for this. Okay, and also, actually first, let me talk about the yarn. So the 2 yarn colors I'm using right now for this is, I had 2 skeins of Woolberry Berry DK in the colorway Flock. 2 skeins of DK. And then I had 1 skein of Berry DK, same base, in the colorway Heirloom, which is a red color. Actually, I can pull out the yarn cakes here. So this is Flock. This is a variegated colorway that has some, specks of red in there. And so I thought it'd be really cute to also go with Heirloom, which is this red. And I thought that would be cute. And I have been looking for a shawl, because I feel like I was like 2 skeins of a main color with 1 skein of a contrast color, find a shawl. And I looked and I found some things that could maybe work, but none were really calling to me. And I didn't want to just make something just to use the yarn. Like, I wanted to really love what I'm making. So my idea for this was to use Flock as a main color for the shawl. And then you can see maybe these red sections here, it kind of has like a little bobble. It's not a bobble, so don't be scared if you don't like bobbles, but it's a little bobble thing, and then like a swoop, and a little bobble thing, and a swoop for the red. And I really love how the stitch pattern looks. And so I was like, oh, I could probably, contrast color probably use less than the main color. So I was like, I'll do that. But once I cast on and I realized, I think that this is actually considered mosaic knitting, because every 2 rows, I'm using one of the colors. So I do 2 knit rows of, the main color of my Flock colorway, knit forward, knit back, and then the next row is just of my red color to make that stitch pattern. And I was like, oh, this might be using the same amount, pretty much the same amount of 2 of those colors. So, and I didn't want to just stop at 1 skein of each, because again, I have 2 skeins of Flock. So my plan is, and I can grab the other yarn here. It is sitting here. So my plan is to make this pretty much like a Christmas shawl. And I am going to also, for my quote contrast color, because I'll explain what else I'm going to do with this also, but I'm going to add this green color. It's another Woolberry colorway. It is not a rewind yarn, but it's okay, because my goal was to just use the yarn in any kind of mix and match, not just with the rewind yarn. So this is the colorway we got there in the end, which also it's like the perfect thing for my whole year journey of using all of my Woolberry yarn. I feel like that's so cute. But I am going to also use this green in here as well. Not with the red, but like with the Flock, if that makes sense. Okay, so now, if I didn't already confuse you enough, let me go back to the original pattern, because the original pattern is actually a worsted weight pattern. And I'm using DK weight yarn, so there is that difference. But I was like, that's not a problem, because it is a triangle shawl where you start at the tip, the smallest section, and you just keep increasing. So you can make this shawl any size that you want. Really is just like, it's fine. But I am thinking, because it's kind of hard to see the red stitch detailing, and the way that I saw it in the Sorella posts it just looks different than what I have here. Not saying I don't like what I have, but it just looks different. I do want to just show you the wrong side of this too, because even the wrong side's cute on this. Okay, but what I think would showcase this stitch pattern even more is when the colors I have right now, if it's switched. So right now my flock colorway is kind of the background, and the red has those like bobbly swoop thing going on. And so I think that when I get about halfway through my skeins of these, I'm going to swap, and I'm going to have the red be the background color, and then the flock be the little bobbly contrast color thing happening on top. And then once I am done with the red color, I will switch so that, because I think it's going to look really cute with the flock as the bobbly swoop color. And so so once I'm done with the red, I'm going to switch and have the green still be like the background, the dark background color, and still have the flock be the front color. I think it'll be cute. I'm hoping it'll be cute. And so that's my plan. That is my plan. And this has been really fun to work on. I've never done this stitch before, and it's very fun. It's kind of frustrating because, and I think I can say it because this stitch is probably used in other patterns, and also this pattern is available for free, so you can just look it up and see it. But you just do a whole bunch of slipping stitches, which is kind of like mosaic knitting. You slip a whole bunch of stitches. This one you alternate slipping. And then the way to make like those kind of like bobbly sections here, you are actually just in like the first round or the first row across, you do a knit yarn over knit into one stitch. And then when you're coming back in the next row, you are knitting 3 together through the back loop. And then that's how you get that kind of like bobbly look. And then the little swoop of the red is just from you slipping a stitch with the yarn in back when you're working on the wrong side. I hope that made some sense, but if not, you can look up the pattern on Alexi's website, because it is available for free. So I really am enjoying working on this. It's really cute. It's really fun. I love the colors. I love the stitch pattern. And oh my gosh, this is going to be such a squishy shawl in the end. Like DK weight shawls are so great. They feel so nice. And I just can't wait. I can't wait. So I'm really happy that I am like this excited about this project, because I was feeling like I was never going to find a project that I could use both of these yarn colorways together with, which would have been fine. I was eventually like, okay, do I just find a separate pattern that uses 2 skeins that I could use for flock, and then a different pattern that I could use my red colorway? But I'm so glad I found something where I could use them both, because I thought that they would look so cute together. And to add the green to make it a little Christmassy shawl, I think that that'll be so cute. Also considering, because it is, it's almost December. So it also feels like a really good time to kind of cast on something and to work on something that feels kind of Christmassy. Okay, so that was one of my new cast-ons, and my next one is again another cast-on of my remaining Woolberry Rewind yarn. Okay, and this was the last one. After that, I had one skein, this one fingering weight skein of Berry Natural in the colorway Bouquet. It's a very cute pale pink colorway, and I love Woolberry's natural, either the fingering weight natural base or the DK natural base. They're all so soft and I love them. So, okay. Oh, yes, because I need to talk about this again. Remember this top that I just talked about a couple whips ago? I actually only used, I only broke into 3 skeins of Suri to make this entire top. And I still actually had 20 grams left. I think it was around 20 grams. I wrote it down, but maybe 20 grams left of my 3rd skein. So it was 2 skeins plus 30 grams of Suri to make one top. And I had 4 skeins total of this colorway. So I had 1 full skein left. And I was like, it would be really great to use that last full skein. Just to get into it, not for it to just be hanging out. In terms of just me completing my goal of using all of my rewind yarn. And not all of the yarn, but it would be nice to actually just use some of it and not have full skeins left. I need to check though. Did I have full skeins left in any of my other projects this year? I don't think so, but anyway, I had this idea where I could use this yarn plus my Suri leftovers plus, the full skein in one project. Amazing. Okay, and this is, I will hold it up while I talk about it. This is the Hip Stripes Shawl by Joji Locatelli. And I have been eyeing this pattern and also the top. There is a top version of this stitch pattern and stuff. I have been eyeing both of those patterns ever since it came out. I've been wanting to make it, but I was need to wait for the yarn inspiration to come for yarn combinations. And it finally happened for me for the shawl. And part of, I don't even know how I came up with this idea. I guess I was just what is a pattern I can use 2 different colorways? Yeah, just 2 different colorways. Now, this pattern doesn't call for using Suri. It is just 2 different colors of fingering weight yarn. But I felt it would work with Suri, maybe because I just sometime recently-ish finished another Joji Locatelli pattern, which was the Milton. The really long cardigan, which was alternating stripes of a fingering weight and a Suri. And I loved that combination, so I was why can't I just, swap out one of these for the Suri? Because the main color in this needed more than 400 yards anyway of a fingering weight. And I was I have more of the Suri, and if I use a regular fingering weight, I would probably have to use 1 skein and a little bit of a 2nd skein. And that would feel like a waste of a 2nd skein. So I was let me just use the Suri that I have. So I cast on, and I've knit, I think, a pretty good amount. The shawl grows real fast in terms of just stitch count for each row. It grows really fast. It is an asymmetrical crescent shawl, I think is what it said in the pattern, because I started here at the top here. This is the center top, and it was all symmetrical at the beginning, garter stitch here, which is just 2 row alternating garter stitch between your 2 colorways. And the Suri in here is this is low contrast. It's a light pink with a light, see-through Suri that is a cream color. It is variegated, but, it's all very pastel-y colors. And then this is, the hipster stitch in all of her, hipster-named patterns. It is so cool. I was how the heck do you do this? I did have to watch her video tutorial on how to do this. And it's very cool. It was a little finicky, I think, because of the Suri, because it's so light and it's so thin. But I finally got it. It is 3 stitches crossed through 3 stitches to make that X pattern, and it looks so cute. And then so you can see, right, on the sides of this shawl, this is the center right here of where I start. And this is on one side, this is how much it grew. Like this much. That's it. But on this side, this is how long it is on this side. It's this long. And this is really cool. I actually didn't even notice that this was asymmetrical when I looked at the pattern the first time, but I love the asymmetricalness of this shawl. You can see that in between, and it's done using short rows, and it is a wrap and turn short row. But what's really nice about this is because it's garter stitch, and so, garter stitch does have kind of like those little bumps. You don't have to pick up, when you go back to do the wrap and turn, you don't even have to deal with picking up that wrap to knit with it. You don't deal with it. You just knit with the stitch that's on the needle. It's so nice. At first, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to look up how to do a wrap and turn, pick up again. But no, you don't have to. And it says that in the pattern too. You don't have to pick up the wrap. So that was really nice. But you can see how it is here is like in between the sections of these main color crossing sections. On the really long side, there's a lot of rows of garter stitch in between them. But on this side, they're really close together. And that's just, if I can hold it out this way, it's because, you do short rows, and so you kind of work from one side more, and then you kind of grow, and then, So anyway, I really love how this is turning out. I really love that I have it on my needles because I've been wanting to make this shawl, again, ever since it came out, and I was just looking for yarn inspiration, but it's great. I love it. I think it's cute. It's low contrast, but I think it works. And because it's Suri, it's going to be so soft and light, and I'm really excited about it. I'm really happy with how that is turning out. And now all of my Woolberry rewind yarn is either in a finished object or is cast on my needles, and that's so exciting for my goal this year. Now that we're nearing December, which is, it's just so cool. It makes me really happy. Okay, so moving on to some spinning now. I don't have too many updates, but I did want to show you, I have a fully finished, washed and finished, the finishing done, dried, finished spin of the, mixed BFL in the colorway Tapestry from Nest Fiber. Wow, it's so pretty. I did a 2-ply fractal on this, pretty a normal, a standard spin for me, 2-ply fractal. Here's my little mini, really mini leftover skein of my, my 2-ply. But this is the full skein. I'm so glad that basically all the fiber went into the main skein here, and it's looking really cute. I'm very happy with the final product of this, and it's looking really cute. I just skeined it out, and I'm really happy with how this came out. And I am planning, again, I've said this before, but just in case you've missed it, if you are participating in the make-along that me and Bridget are hosting, the Cozy Comforts make-along, you can still enter, you can still join the make-along. It goes all the way until the end of December this year. And the make-along is just for any neck accessory. So a scarf, a shawl, a cowl, those things some of them can knit up pretty quickly, so you still have a lot of time to join this make-along. And there will be prizes, and so I am thinking, I still need to talk to Bridget on how we're going to all do this, but I would love for this skein of my handspun to be one of the prizes that you could win and get for yourself as a prize for this make-along. So here's some, if you're thinking about joining the make-along but not sure, here's some inspiration for you to want to join if you would like a chance to get, not saying that my handspun is maybe something you even want. I don't know. Maybe you don't want my handspun. But just in case you do, this could be a potential prize for the winner. So there is that. Okay, and then I do have a spin project on my wheel, although I took it off my wheel to show it to you all. Might look the same as last week, but just maybe a little more, just more on the bobbin. This is my my Christmas sock spin. The fiber is from Created by LCB. The fiber content is Polworth and Mulberry Silk, and the colorway is Vintage Christmas. And I think I've said these details before, but this is kind of like a little spin with friends, because I think so Emily and Maya started the spin first. They bought the Vintage Christmas colorway from Created by LCB, but in a different fiber base earlier this year, and their plan is to spin it for socks and then to make Christmas socks, cast on maybe on Christmas or Christmas Eve. And then me, Megan, and Katie wanted to join in, and so we also ordered some. It's a different fiber base than them, but the same colorway, and we finally got it. We started spinning during knit weekend a couple weekends ago, and so I'm still working on mine. I saw that Megan finished her spin. She spins so quickly, so yeah, I want to. Anyway, it's inspired to me to want to spin more on this week. I split mine up. I've talked about how I split it up in last week's video, and it's kind of involved, but I split it up into 8 different or little balls, and I am on number 6 right now. Yeah, I'm on number 6, and so I'm almost done. I'm over halfway, but I am trying to spin as thin as possible because I want to do a chain ply, and I'm hoping to get a fingering weight yarn out of it. So we'll see how it goes. Megan also did a chain ply, but I think hers came out a little thicker, maybe like a sport weight, I think she said. So it'll be so interesting to see how all of our spins end up looking different, and especially how it looks knit up, and so I'm really excited for that. But yeah, so this is my current spin, and I just love all the colors on it. There's a lot of pink in here, which I really love, so yeah, it makes me very happy, and I've really been enjoying spinning that. Okay, next up, I have one acquisition to talk about, but not to show you, because I just needed you all to know that I got in the mail the Explorer Knits Wool Gatherer Solstice yarn, and I got the day box plus the full 8 skein box. Last year I was really good with the Solstice box from Explorer Knits, and I waited and I opened it. Well, I opened it kind of to schedule, but just like 1 week earlier because I made a mistake in terms of like which boxes to open when. But I still opened them 1 week at a time last year. This year I was like, since I already did that, I already did the thing where I waited to open them, and that was fun. I just wanted to open them all this time. So I have opened all of the boxes. I've seen all of the yarn. I will not be showing it on the podcast until it is all revealed to, everyone. So, there will be no spoilers. But I love it. It's very cute, and that is all I will say about that. So yeah, I think that is yeah, that's it for the acquisition, I'm pretty sure. Okay, and then, that is it. That's all I have. That's all I have to share with you for this week, in terms of, like, projects. There's, like, a couple fun things I wanted to mention, and I just put notes here to talk about at the end of the podcast. Last weekend, I dyed some yarn for Megan. Actually, it was this past Sunday. I dyed yarn for Megan because she wanted me to over-dye some yarn for her because it was kind of like this tan skin colored yarn, and that was like not going to be good to wear, and so she wanted me to over dye it for her because she had a sweater quantity of it, and she wouldn't, she didn't want to knit with a whole sweater with it in a color that she didn't like or want to wear. So I over dyed it for her. I was really nervous because this is the first time that I was over dyeing anything of what feels of importance. Like, I've over dyed stuff I've dyed, and that's fine because I did it, so I felt okay over dyeing it. But this was like over dyeing other yarn in a sweater quantity for someone else. I was really nervous about it. I was hoping everything would go well, and I think think it went well. I think Megan likes it. She picked it up at my house on Monday. It was still drying here, and so she took it home to continue letting it dry at her place. Also so that she could just have the yarn as soon as it was like dry and ready to go. Because she's using it for a test knit. But I think she likes the yarn. I'm really happy. I think it turned out good. There was like one skein out of the 6 that looks way more green than the others, which I'm like, how'd that happen? Because I've been dyeing them 2 skeins at a time. So how does it not look like the skein that it was dyed with? I don't know. Very interesting. But the color's really pretty. It is like a dark teal color. Maybe it's more green leaning of a teal, but I do think it still has some like blue qualities to it. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy that she likes it. I cannot wait to see what it looks all knit up. I cannot wait. I'm so excited because this will, I guess, Megan is knitting a sweater. She's knitting the first sweater of yarn that I've dyed. I haven't knit a sweater yet in yarn that I've dyed. So this is going to be the first sweater knit with yarn that I have dyed, all of it, which is crazy. So that's super exciting, and I'm excited to see how that sweater keeps on knitting up and how it all works together. So, and she's also I feel like she's also testing for me too, because I'm like, how'd I do consistency wise between all of my batches? So yeah, I'm really excited about that. It makes me really happy. Okay. Speaking of drying yarn, I did want to mention this because I mentioned this before and I keep forgetting to bring it up on the podcast. So I've mentioned before how my knits take so long to dry here, now in the house because it's so cold here, so much colder than it used to be in the apartment. And many of you have given me really great suggestions on what to do. And I am happy to say that these tips have worked. They have worked for me. I did get a fan, a heated fan for my room specifically. One, because I get cold when I work in my office. So it was also really nice for me to stay warm. And 2, to keep my knits in this room because it's a lot warmer than the rest of the rooms in the house. And also, at least when I'm in the room, I'll have it blowing gently on my knits to just help a bit, and I think it's helped a lot. I think my framed sweater was my first sweater that I needed to dry, after my Ballard pullover. My Ballard pullover, I think, took 5 days to fully dry. And not, I put it on me on day 5 and was like, you are going to dry on my body since my body heat will dry it while it's on me. Not recommended to do that because you might stretch your sweater. But the framed, so my Ballard pullover is a DK weight and it took 5 days to dry. My framed, I had it in my warm office room drying on a mesh thing so that there was airflow on the bottom as well. And that is also, I had DK weight yarn, but it's color work, all color work. So I think it's, it's a thicker material. And I think it dried in 2 days. And so that has been really nice and makes me just feel a lot more relaxed about drying my knits. I think it's also why I have a backlog of drying or washing my knits, because I just was like, I can't handle how long it takes to dry. But now that it's drying a lot faster, I'm very happy about it. I will let you know how long it takes to dry my Stella quilt cushions, because those in the apartment took maybe 2-3 days, maybe 3 days to dry, which is longer than all the rest of my things. So I wonder how long it'll take to dry here, but I have my warm office room now, so hopefully it helps. I think it will. So that's been really nice, and I wanted to give you all that update because, yeah, all of you have really helped me with all of your tips, so thank you so much. I'm very, very happy now with my setup for drying my knits. Okay, I also just wanted to mention too, this week was an interesting week because if you live in Seattle, maybe if you don't live in Seattle, there was a weather situation that happened. There was really strong winds that came through, and I didn't actually know that it was going to be as bad as it was going to be. Like, I thought it was just going to be windy and rainy, but it was really windy. It knocked down some trees, and it knocked out a lot of power to a lot of people, not just like in Seattle, but like around Seattle, in the area, which is crazy. And I will say I have actually never experienced a power outage while I've lived here in Washington State. I've experienced power outages at home when I was little, like in Hawaii, there were power outages. But ever since I came up and, went to school in the Pacific Northwest and like lived up here, I've always lived in apartments. And I feel like, especially like in the city, apartments usually, and just in general, they usually are not out of power, or if they are, for a really short amount of time. But I've never experienced a power outage here, like without my parents, like I don't know what to do. And honestly, so this week, it was on Tuesday night, I lost power, and it didn't come back until Wednesday in the middle of the day, or like in the afternoon. So it was like maybe like 15 hours with no power. I also think like this is the longest time, I'm pretty sure, that I can recall of being in a power outage, because even back home in Hawaii, I just feel like the power outages didn't last that long either. So this was the longest I've been or experienced a power outage. But thankfully, and for me, like I guess the area I'm in, they restored power actually pretty quickly. Like that was actually quick. There are some people still without power, which is just crazy. And I felt crazy and started getting really cold, because it's cold here now, and so the heater is always on in the house, and I was like, oh, without power, there's no heat. And I already started getting cold, and it was not even, a full day for me without power. So I just, if you're still without power, I don't think you're watching this podcast. But if you are watching this in the future, I hope that you are all okay. Or if you have friends who live in the area, check on them if you can. But, it's hard because cell service might still kind of be out. I feel like it was predicted that today is Saturday, that I think a lot more people are supposed to get their power back today, but it is just crazy. It's just crazy. So I hope everyone is all right. I hope you're able to stay warm and have food. I just don't know what to do, what I would do in that situation to be without power for that long. But I hope you're all safe and all right. But yeah, it was crazy to me. I wasn't expecting the power to be out for that long. And again, it wasn't even that long compared to a lot of other people in the area. So, but yeah, I got kind of a lot of knitting done, with flashlights on. But I was cold. I was getting cold. I was getting nervous. But everything's okay now. Friday, there was supposed to be even more wind, or wind again, a windstorm again, but less, and I was fine with power, so it was all okay on Friday, but made me think that I should be more prepared. I need to know how to be more prepared in case there is weather that could knock out power. Okay, now that is all I have. It was a lot of excitement and some scariness this week, but yeah, now it's the weekend. It's time to start another week. Oh, and Thanksgiving is next week. That's crazy. I just can't believe it's already Thanksgiving, which also means Black Friday shopping, and then it means it'll be December, and then it'll be Christmas, and then it'll be the New Year. Everything's happening really fast. But I hope that you're all having a great day. I hope you all had a great week. And let me know in the comments down below what you've been working on. Hopefully you've been doing some fun crafting while listening or watching to this podcast. And yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty sure, because I usually film on Saturdays, that next Saturday I should be good to go in terms of filming. Even though it's Thanksgiving weekend, I think most of my activities are on the Thursday, Friday, so Saturday should be good. So I should have a video out next week. We'll see what I get knitting on next week. Oh, one more thing. I think Andrea Mowry is doing a sock knit along during the Thanksgiving weekend, and I love the sock pattern that came out, and I'm just like, do I join? Because I think you cast on Thanksgiving, and then you need to be done by Sunday night or Monday morning. I'm really tempted. So maybe my next podcast episode, you'll see if I cast them on. We'll see. Maybe I'll forget about it in all of the kind of like holiday excitement. But also they're very cute. So even if I don't do it next weekend, I'll probably knit those socks eventually in the future. Okay, that is all I have to share with you all this week. And yeah, I hope you all have a great upcoming week. And if you are in the US and celebrating Thanksgiving, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving break. And I will see you all in next week's video. Bye!